Let's talk about data types in Excel and why they're important. This is a great example because it contains all sorts of data types. There's text, there's numbers, there's dates. Excel does a really good job at figuring out what data type to use when you're entering data into a cell. For example, if I type a word, I'll use my trusty word apples and I hit the Tab key. It's left formatted. This is telling me that it's just treating it as a text string. But watch what happens when I put in a number. I'll hit the Enter key, and the text stays to the right. That's how Excel knows that it's a number or a value field. And by that, I mean a date, an integer, a time, a currency, any sort of value that's not a straight text field. And the reason it's important is because it's going to decide what kind of formula or function you can do on that cell. For example, if I move over to the Formulas ribbon tab, there's financial functions that you can do. There's functions that you can do on text, for example, to transform text directly in a cell. You can do calculations based on date and time cells, but it needs to know what is what. Let's take a look at these date cells. You can enter dates in different ways. For example, I can type this. It's right aligned. In fact, and if I go over to the formula bar, I can see that it's expanded the date. Depending on what locale you're set to, Excel will adjust the dates accordingly. For example, it may swap these two values. I can also write a time. Again, it's right aligned, and if I go over to the formula bar, I can see that it is, in fact, a time. You can choose and format the type of data cell that you want. I'm going to click and drag and highlight this field, which is clearly currency. If I go back to the Home ribbon tab, right there in the middle of the tab, I can format the data type and set it. It's set to general right now, but I can click this button and set it to currency. In fact, I can even choose what type of currency I want, though it will default to whatever locale I use. In fact, I can click the drop-down and choose currency or accounting. Here's currency, and accounting is much more formal and standard. I can even format the way it looks. For example, I can decrease or increase the amount of decimals used. I can set all of these cell formats. I can do it per cell, I can do it per column or row, whatever is going to work for me to do the type of calculations that I need. For example, this cell is reporting the days since the gift card was issued. It's a simple formula that's calculating today's date and subtracting it from the value in this cell when the gift card was issued. And these are the types of calculations you can do when you have the type properly set. So always be on the lookout in the back of your mind when something doesn't look right. For example, I just put in a time, however, it's left aligned. That's because it didn't quite recognize that I was putting in a time. Although if I put a space in there and hit the Enter key, it figures it out and adjusts accordingly.